Hey guys, what's up? Z here with Z Reviews Tech, and I have in my hands the Voyo VBook V3, the latest version of Voyo's laptop with the new Intel Apollo Lake Pentium N4200 processor. Ladies and gentlemen, the Voyo VBook V3. And of course, I put the laptop down because it was super heavy. So the Voyo VBook V3 has definitely been improved. You have a 12,000 mAh battery instead of a 10,000 mAh battery in the older versions. You also have a M.2 128GB SSD as well as a 32GB eMMC drive. In addition, this Apollo Lake Pentium should be at least twice as fast as the Atom processors that we usually test here on this channel. And hopefully it's close-ish to Core M processors in terms of basic tasks. I'm pretty excited to test out this new wave of Apollo Lake processors, so let's get right into it. This laptop is honestly pretty big and heavy, but to be fair though, I have been using my Xiaomi Air 12, which is very thin and very light. But on the plus side, this laptop feels solid. The laptop is made out of a soft matte rubber that definitely does not feel as premium as, for example, a MacBook, but it doesn't feel cheap either, and is actually a welcome addition to anyone living in a cold country, because when you open up the laptop and you put your hand on the palm rest, your hands don't freeze off, but it actually feels pretty nice. You have two USB ports as well as a micro SD card slot and a mini HDMI port as well. And on the left side, you have the power and volume buttons, as well as a switch to lock the keyboard and the trackpad when you rotate the screen all the way around. So when you open up the screen, the laptop actually does look quite a bit dated because you have such big bezels around pretty much all four sides of the screen. That being said though, the screen can rotate 360 degrees to be converted into a tablet. You can use that switch I talked about earlier to lock out the keyboard as well as the trackpad to use it as a tablet. This probably will be useful to quite a few people. For example, if you're in school, you want to take notes, or you're on the airplane and you don't have a lot of space. But for me personally, it's a gimmick and I don't really use it. So let's talk about the ways to interact with the device. You actually have four ways to interact with the device. Number one, you have the keyboard, then you have the trackpad, the touchscreen, and finally the included stylus in the box. So first, the keyboard. The keyboard is plastic. You get some pretty decent travel in the keyboard, and it requires a little bit more force to activate compared to my Xiaomi Air 12. That being said though, it does lack the premium feel on what you would find on a MacBook or maybe my Xiaomi with the nice metal backlit keys, but it's still functional enough to work. The trackpad is actually surprisingly decent. When you're only using one finger, accuracy and speed is good. When you're using two fingers, there actually only is one gesture that works, and that would be double finger scrolling. The double finger scrolling does work well. There is a little bit less inertia compared to on a MacBook, but it's nothing too great. That being said though, I'm not complaining because those gestures often get accidentally activated when you actually wanted to double finger scroll or you have your finger off the trackpad, so definitely not an issue there. The touchscreen is pretty good. It's definitely not as sensitive as an iPad, but it's definitely good enough for everyday use. The included stylus does not support pressure sensitivity, so it works more like a capacitive stylus instead of an active stylus. Even then, it's not that great of an experience when you're taking notes, because if you don't lift the stylus far enough off the screen while you're writing, the pen actually just continues writing and it makes a mess of the screen. So it kind of looks like every word is joined together, which really isn't very easy for reading. So the screen, we have a 1080p resolution on a 13.3-inch screen. And the screen is actually quite decent in terms of color reproduction and saturation. It is a bit cooler than other screens, but nevertheless, it does look good. The max brightness goes up to around 300 nits of brightness, which is enough for outdoor use, but definitely not under direct sunlight. There also is a pre-installed screen protector that I recommend you do not take off, just because the included stylus will probably scratch the screen if you don't have their screen protector on it. We have two downward firing speakers, and downward firing speakers are not the most ideal place to place speakers on a laptop. Just because you put it on your lap, you can't hear. You have to put it on a hard surface in order to get the maximum volume out of the laptop. That being said though, maximum volume is still not very loud, and I did have difficulty hearing it over something like cooking. There is a decent amount of bass, and audio is actually quite clear from this laptop as well, so have a listen for yourself. So I was the most worried about battery life because I had no idea what to expect from battery life from an Apollo Lake processor. Yes, you do have a bigger 12,000 mAh battery, but the Apollo Lake processors do take a lot more power than the previous generation Atom processors. So I was able to get around 8 hours of screen on time, which is a little bit behind my Atom processors and a little bit ahead of my Core M processors. I was mostly web browsing, checking email, and typing out Word documents with the occasional YouTube video, as well as watching local files as well. I also did the video playback test and was able to play back local video for about 8 hours and 20 minutes before the laptop died. So unless you are a super heavy intense user, as long as you're doing light things, so for example, no gaming, no editing 1080p video, this laptop should be able to get you throughout a day. So I didn't really know what to expect in terms of power from this processor. Yes, it's most likely going to be more powerful than an Atom processor, but the question is how much. So the good thing is, surprisingly, in light tasks, for example, opening and closing Windows apps, web browsing, Chrome, and Edge, the Pentium N4200 is as fast as the Core M in those respects. Obviously, you have to discount 4K and 2K streaming because those still stutter in Chrome, but not in Edge. But nevertheless, performance is very good. And don't forget that the Windows installation is installed on an M.2 SSD by 4C, and starting up this laptop is actually beastly fast as well. You also have the 32 gig eMMC drive with all the drivers on it. What was really surprising was I was able to use GIMP, which is the free version of Photoshop, pretty well, and anything I was doing that didn't involve applying filters, which is really CPU intensive, actually works as well as my desktop. Yes, my desktop. I didn't see any slowdowns when I was editing DSLR photos from the camera I'm using right now, the G7, which is pretty impressive. And what's even more impressive is I was able to edit 1080p video using DaVinci Resolve, the free video editing program, which is pretty powerful. So gaming-wise, the Pentium processor is able to game quite a bit better than the Atom processors. I was able to play Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 at 720p with about 25 to 30 frames per second, where the Atom processors could never do that. And I could also play Dota 2 at 1080p resolution around 25 to 30 frames per second, where Atom processors could only do that at 720p. I ran a couple of benchmarks. I ran Geekbench, which got around 2x what the Atom processors got. I also ran Cinebench and Octane, which both got significantly higher scores than Atom processors, not 2x, but still quite a bit higher. But in all these tests, the Pentium N4200 still lagged behind the Core M processor in pretty much every single test. Connectivity-wise, the USB ports are capable of powering an external hard drive, and the speeds are pretty good as well. Overall, the Pentium version of the Voyo VBook V3 is a good laptop. Sure, it's big and heavy, audio isn't very loud, but in exchange you get the very decent Pentium processor with great performance as well as decent battery life as well. I must say that the Apollo Lake Pentium N4200, for light and basic tasks, it performs on par with the Core M processor. Obviously, with the exception of 4K and 2K streaming and YouTube, there is very little difference between them. So the biggest issue I have with this laptop is the price. It starts at $400, and at that price, if you do a little bit of hunting for Core M processors and tablets, and sometimes even laptops, you can find Core M laptops or tablets for $400 or below. And at that price, you might as well buy those Core M devices on sale. That being said, once these Apollo Lake device prices go down, this will make a great option. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit like, be sure to hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Did I mix up Celeron and Pentium? I think I did. I must have said Pentium sometimes and Celeron other times. Oh well.